Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. This is the kind of news that I like to share as well. This was shared with me by one of my viewers. As a matter of fact, they've shared quite a bit with me on this channel. Many of you share stories with me and I really appreciate it. Some of them I'm able to get to and some of them I am not able to get to. But anyway, I find this one very interesting because I've talked along the lines of this particular subject before. And what we're talking about is the presence of Russia in Africa, or their seeking of some type of position in Africa. I'm going to be reading an article on Reuters where it says Putin steps up drive for clout in Africa with broadside against West. So basically, you have Russia, who is trying to get more clout in Africa, because we all know that Western countries and leaders, and even Eastern, where the Asians and the people of India are becoming a stronghold in Africa. But Putin is stepping up his drive for clout in Africa as well. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed with this article. It says President Vladimir Putin stepped up Russia's push for influence in Africa days before he hosts a summit with African leaders, saying on Monday that Moscow could offer help without strings attached, unlike what he cast as the exploitive West. Y'all hear that? That is part of that broadside against the West. He's saying, look, we want to help without strings attached. Unlike those other cats, unlike those of the West who seeks to exploit you. That's very interesting, y'all. Are y'all paying attention to this? Let me go ahead and continue with the article. It says the Kremlin has said it expects 47 African leaders to converge on the Black Sea city of Sochi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's Sochi, whatever, for the October 23rd through 24 event, Moscow's first Russia-Africa summit and part of an ambitious push for influence and business in Africa. Now, what I want to say about that real quick, though, I want to say this. Africa has no friends. I know for some this may say, oh, well, maybe this is good, right? Africa has no friends. So-called black people, period, worldwide, have no friends, okay? Not truly. So even though they're saying, look, we're doing this, no strings attached, there are always strings attached, okay? All right? So keep that in mind before anybody starts to celebrate, because our people make a habit of celebrating when someone says something nice to us or even does something nice. We celebrate until they come with their real bag of tricks, okay? But it would be nice if there were no strings attached, if they could just be straight up and honest. But we shall see. Time will tell. Let me continue reading. For Moscow, the prize is greater political influence on a continent with 54 United Nations member states, sprawling mineral wealth, and potential lucrative markets for Russian manufactured weapons. Okay, so right there in that paragraph, we just saw the strings. For me, I see those as strings. They're looking at the fact that there are 54 United Nations members on the continent. Okay, so why are they looking at that? It says the prize is greater political influence on the continent that has that many member states, right? What's the next prize? Sprawling mineral wealth. That's a string too, y'all. They're looking at what Africa has, right? Okay. And potentially lucrative markets for Russian manufactured weapons. Oh, somebody who can buy their weapons, someone else that they can sell weapons to. Now get this. It's nothing wrong with them seeking opportunities to buy and sell goods with Africa. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's free trade. It's allowed. But don't say it comes with no strings. Those are strings. They're basically saying, what can Africa do for me? So that's a string. All right. I hope you all understand where I'm coming from with that. Okay. Not saying that it's bad that they're looking at the mineral wealth and that they are looking for other markets for their weapons and things of that nature. It's nothing wrong with that. That's what business is about. But those are still strings, no matter how you look at it. Continuing on with the article, it says the world's largest wheat exporter, Russia, is also looking to ramp up its supplies of grain and fertilizer to meet demand that is rising in step with Africa's booming population. So they need somebody to sell stuff to as well. U.S. officials have vowed to counter what they see as Moscow's growing political and economic clout in Africa, as well as that of China, which has long had a large economic presence there and began its own series of Africa summits in 2006. Now, so U.S. officials want to counter that. Look, we've already had a taste of what you all can do in Africa. Don't pretend like you want to go and play nice now. See, ain't that something? It just shows you the heart of wickedness when they see someone else trying to play nice with people that they haven't played nice with. And so they want to say, oh, we're going to counter that. And I'm going to be honest with you, African leaders would be fools to believe anything that they would want to counter with, because they've already proven they cannot be trusted. Okay. So let me go on with the article. It says, in December, then U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton accused Moscow of corrupt and predatory business practices and of selling arms and energy in exchange for votes at the United Nations. Moscow denies that. Y'all, I could just laugh so hard at that statement right there. I almost busted out laughing, but I'm trying to get through this video, through this article. Listen, y'all, that is so funny to hear that someone from the U.S. is accusing somebody else of being corrupt. I mean, do these people even pay attention to their own stuff that they do? They're accusing somebody else of being corrupt and predatory in business practices. Is that did somebody just crack a joke right there? These people are serious reprobates. They are ridiculous. They are utterly ridiculous to call somebody else a predator and dishonest or corrupt. Let me continue on. Let me see what else I'm going to have to laugh at, because these Western European countries are just so full of it. It is mind-boggling. Anyway, on Monday, Putin gave the clearest idea yet of his pitch to African countries, warning of rising competition over Africa. Turning the tables on the West, he accused it of intimidating African countries to exploit the continent's resources. Did he tell any lies right there, y'all? Did he tell any lies? I'm not saying Vladimir Putin is a righteous man of any sort, but did he lie right there? Let me read that part again. It says Putin gave the clearest idea yet of his pitch to African countries, warning of rising competition over Africa. Did he lie right there? No, I didn't think so. Also, he says, turning the tables on the West, talking about European nations, he accused them of intimidating African countries to exploit the continent's resources. Did he lie right there, y'all? Did he lie right there? I didn't think so. Okay, continuing on. We see how an array of Western countries are resorting to pressure, intimidation, and blackmail of sovereign African governments, Putin told the TASS news agency. He did not name specific countries, but said he was referring to former colonial powers on the continent. Arms fair. They are using such methods to try to return lost influence and dominance in their former colonies in a new guise and rushing to pump out maximum profits and to exploit the continent, he said. By contrast, Putin said Russia was ready to offer help without political or other conditions and to embrace the principle of African solutions for African problems. During its Cold War struggle with the capitalist West, Soviet Moscow developed close ties with many African countries, backing, for instance, post-colonial independence movements. Many of those ties lapsed after the 1991 Soviet breakup. But Moscow's ties to Africa are now on the up, Putin said, pointing to military technical cooperations accords that Russia has with more than 30 African states, which it supplies arms to. Okay, so this does sound a lot better than what the West has offered or has done in the past. Okay, everything he has said is true. He has told no lies in that, right? Still, I think that the African leaders in the country still must be careful with anyone. Just because he's offering this help, don't let your guards down. This might be something better than what they are currently experiencing with the West, but still, don't be foolish. Don't allow yourself to let your guards down with anyone. If someone wants to come in and give something different and better than what the West has had to offer, you see how China came in with the same thing, saying, "Oh, we want to help, we want to help, we want to do all this," but then their people come there and they're abusive towards the African population. They're exploiting the African population and doing things as well. So this is why you have to be careful. It all sounds good on the surface, but be wise in your dealings. Okay? But still, he hasn't told any lies in regards to the West and the U.S. Okay, continuing on. Russia's new role in the region was thrust into the spotlight in July last year when 3 Russian journalists were killed in the Central African Republic while investigating the alleged presence there of a shady Russian private military contractor known as the Wagner Group. Putin will co-host the summit with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. Russia plans to put on an arms fair at the summit, showing Russian-made weapons, including its S-400 missile defense system, other air defense systems, as well as non-military equipment, according to the Almaz anti-arms manufacturer. In trade terms, though, Moscow lags far behind competitors. Russia says its trade with African countries rose to $20 billion last year, but Russia did not rank among the continent's top 5 largest trade in goods partners, according to Eurostat. The list was topped by the European Union, followed by China, India, the United States, and the United Arab Emirates. Okay, so I have some other things I'd like to say about all of this. It is very clear that the world knows that Africa is it, okay? Africa knows it too. The people of Africa knows it as well. But it's unfortunate that many of the African leaders have sold out the population. They've sold out the people. And so they get all these promises made to them by these other foreign countries and foreign nations, and they leave the people behind. This is the one thing that, or should I say, one of the biggest things that, or issues that I have with Africa is the fact that many of the leaders are so corrupt to where if something or an option for them to succeed is put on the table, but they have to sell out their population, many of them have done that. You see all of these deals being made, but what is going on that is benefiting the people? Now, we see that infrastructure is being built. Deals are being made Companies are opening up, and all kinds of things are happening on the continent with these foreign countries, these foreign nations. But the changes that we want to see are for the population of Africa, the people. We want to see how all of this benefits them. And a lot of these corrupt leaders need to be removed. Simple as that. You see, because the population is what matters to me. Of course, you always will have those who are going to look to the top and say, forget about what they're doing. Just look away when they're doing their dirt. I don't agree with that. I'm sorry. I just don't agree that we should look away while wicked leaders are doing their dirt and the people are suffering. That was the one issue, or one of the biggest issues I had with the African Union, where we don't see any documentation or anything put out in the news showing where they are helping the population of Africa. But they are appealing to others for help. They're appealing to others for money. But how is the African Union helping the people of Africa? If that is not a concern of yours, then what is your concern? You see, because Africa is where it is. Africa has the resources. Africa has vast wealth, whereas the West has paper money. This is why everyone's trying to recolonize and carve up Africa again. But they're trying to say, oh, but we're doing it friendly now. We're trying to make deals with you. It's still the same wickedness being played out over and over. Okay, I have other things that I'd like to talk about as well. I'm going to go ahead and end this particular video. And there are some other things that I wanted to talk about as well as it relates to Africa, because the continent needs some major changes. Major changes need to take place on the continent of Africa. And in order for that to happen, in order for these changes to take place, there has to be a clean house, a cleaning of the house. And the population needs to start to benefit from the vast wealth that is present on the continent of Africa. Everyone else is benefiting from the wealth of Africa but the Africans, you see. And that makes no sense at all. So in order for that to change, hearts and minds have to change as well. Alrighty, family. With that, I will say shalom. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.